Welcome to the Legends of BPAC, a production of PARtv. BPAC is the premier arcade and pinball event of the Southern Hemisphere, host of the Brisbane Pinball Masters, Oz Kong-Off, Queensland Pinball Tournament, and the Australian Arcade Championships. This series catches up with the notable figures, guest stars, hosts, organisers, and players. Co-hosting with me today is Vincent Kemp, one of BPAC's technicians and hosts. How you doing, Vinny?
I am terrific. It's past my bedtime, but that's okay. I'm doing pretty well.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it, man. And our very special guest today is one of my favorite players, nay, people in the world of pinball, Jess DeNardo. How are you, Jess?
I am doing great. I'm the one who's keeping you up past your bedtime. I'm sorry.
But I'm glad that you're doing great. I think first things first, I'm a couple of days early, but happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're all old. It's okay.
Yeah. I mentioned to you before, I'm starting a podcast because, you know, once you hit that 30-year age group, you got to start to do a podcast. So
that's what I did.
That's the rule.
Especially if you're a white dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait.
Everyone wants to hear our opinions.
Cool. The other first question I had for you is, how are those peahens going?
Oh my gosh, they're so cute. We have like these families of peacocks, peafowl that live in our neighborhood, and there are all these little babies, and they make the most adorable noises, and I feed them blueberries.
That is adorable.
They make adorable noises until they get old, and then they make those horrible noises. It sounds like someone's trying to steal your soul. There used to be a bunch of like peafowl near like where I grew up in Rocky. Yeah, it was awful at night.
Yeah, there are some weird noises they make. The peahens make this really loud honking noise, which is kind of funny. But when they're calling to each other, like from the trees, because they go up in trees, which I never knew, and like roost on top of garages and stuff, which is really funny. But you just hear these like, like coming from all over. It's like, where am I?
Do they fly?
Yeah.
It's genuinely impressive.
You don't usually see them walking, but like I took a video for my friend of one flying up into a tree, and she was like, I have never seen that before. It's pretty good.
So you were at BPAC last year, of course. That was the third time I've seen you in Australia, and that was your second Masters event. Is that correct?
Yes. I've been to Australia a few other times, but you know, and I came through on my way to New Zealand for Pincade. So, yeah, I've been there a bunch. I love you guys. I really wish that I was there now. So
we love you too.
Sad to be missing Masters this year, but really excited for Masters 2021.
And so that, yeah, as I said, that was your second Masters last year. Hopefully if you can come to 2021, that will be your third.
Would be great.
How did last year's Masters compare to your first year's, which was 2018, correct?
It was totally different because being at the Echo was a whole other experience than being in like a hotel ballroom situation where, you know, you have your bar down the way and everyone's kind of staying in rooms close by and you could walk to other stuff. And the Echo is like its own planet that you have landed on. And you're just like, I don't understand what's going on. Where are we for the pinball? Oh, we're right by the pig jumping. With like all the pigs that jump into a giant tub of water, which happens after the pig racing. Yeah, follow the sounds of Mater calling the pig races, and you will find the pinball. Totally different, really strange, but fun. Like it was like whole other set of experiences from the first year. Both of them really awesome and a lot of fun and great humans to be around.
It's probably a little bit too early for me to confirm, but our venue for next year, hopefully, is going to be Newstead Brewing in Milton, which is going to be a very private location, very good beers from Newstead as well. So hopefully you can come along to that one.
That'll be a change from last year's drinking situation.
Oh my God. Those beers were so terrible. And still by the end of the Echo, we had drunk that bar dry.
Yeah, their cider selection, not so great. And then once I had tore through a few times, definitely non-existent. So excited to have another venue. It'll just be like 3 very distinct Masters experiences. And we will definitely we are committed to being at the next Masters. So whenever that happens, you will see our smiling, tired faces.
I think the Echo, like, it was like a very Brisbane place for it to be. It was like a very sort of Brisbane event. But I feel like the Newstead one is going to be a better experience of Brisbane for people who visit. So Robert's first trip, I'm hoping he will enjoy it and get a good idea of what Brisbane is like. I feel like, you had been there before, but with Bowen being there and just kind of being like, this is not normally what it's like. this does not represent Brisbane as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never knew about the Eka, so I was learning something new about a place that I already loved. But I could see if you're coming for the very first time and that's most of your entire time there, you'd be like, got a lot of wildlife here.
A lot of cowboys walking around.
A lot of horses.
A lot of horses.
A lot of horses.
Now, last year,
one of them.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say one of them died like just outside.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
I was like heartbroken. Like, how do you like? Oh, one of the horses died.
Yeah, it did a show, and it was one of the ones that was like attached to a carriage, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was right because there was the entryway, like the back entryway to the pinball was right along all the horse stables. So all of the horses from the shows just kept coming out. And one of them was going back in and died. And everyone was just like heartbroken. And we have to like go back in and like be like, here, we're going to go compete now. Everything's proceeding. But it's like that poor horse.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't have any horses.
But that's something that you won't have next year.
Hopefully not.
The brewery has far less horse fatalities than the FM. We can hope. We hope.
On an entirely different note, last year we also saw the very first Queensland Pinball Tournament, which is a women's only tournament. My girlfriend played in this tournament and found it to be a really beautiful and wholesome experience. She was slightly intimidated to compete. She's a new competitor, but once she walked into that room, she was welcomed and encouraged to get involved with pinball and to keep playing, which is really, really nice. What was your experience playing in the Queensland Pinball Tournament?
Well, I didn't play in it. I ran it. So totally.
I actually wrote organizing that tournament, and then I looked away from my script.
But, thanks for diminishing my participation. Just kidding. Yeah, so running that tournament, going into the design of the tournament, what I wanted to do was really encourage more women. Like, Brisbane has a great scene and crew of awesome rad ladies who play pinball. But I wanted to kind of extend that, knowing that there were going to be people at the ECA or coming to the ECA with people who are playing who maybe don't do a lot of competitive pinball, to make something that was a very communal, very friendly experience. And also a format that would let people feel like if they thought they weren't doing as great as they were, they had a chance to turn things around for themselves and like take some of the choice for themselves. So in each round, let's say that you two were called up against each other to play, you would each get to pick a game. Oh. You would play 2 games against each other. And if you wanted to play the same machine over, if you're like, I think I can do better this time, like you could pick the same one. So first of all, you meet all these different people every round. And instead of just playing one single game with them and then you're done, you play 2 games. So it's like a little more communal, a little more friendly, because we're doing 2 of these together before we split off again. So you have a chance to get like a little more of a rapport going, and you have to introduce yourself to people, because it's like, okay, here are the names of the people who are playing, like let's find you and put you together, and then have a discussion of we're going to go play this or we're going to go do that. So as a newer player coming in, you're getting to meet a lot more people in the format. You're spending a little bit more time with them to actually be able to say, hey, I know that person. Like if I'm having a bad round, I can go say hi to this person I had fun with earlier and, get a little pickup or something like that. And I have a choice. So if I feel like I've really been getting beat up on the modern machines, I can pick an old machine, or vice versa. Or this is a machine I just have a lot of fun playing and I want to play it right now. there are so many tournaments where you feel like you never get called up on your favorite machine. So this time you actually get a choice of what you want to play in the rounds. So I think that that's a different, fun way to approach it. And everyone seemed to have a really good time. Like, there were a ton of smiling faces. There was no roughing up of the machines. Like, we had very little to do in terms of TDing, like disagreements or, you know, things like that. Everybody was generally very happy and like really easy to work with. We had a few technical things come up, which you always do in a tournament, that were taken care of so quickly by the whole tech staff. Like, it was organized really well already. So then all I had to do was come in and implement the format for it. And it was really great to see just this amazing group of women come together and have an awesome day of playing pinball.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job as well, because yeah, from what my girlfriend told me, she just had a great day. She really, really enjoyed it. And I actually like the idea of being able to pick your machines to play. I think I'd like to do that every now and then.
It changes it up for sure.
But organizing tournaments isn't your only contribution to the world of pinball. You do also work on a podcast as well, correct?
Work is an interesting word. We took like a year hiatus, but we just re-released another episode. So the Pinball podcast with my co-host Jeff. So we did kind of a catch-up episode. We each had a lot of life things happening, and he basically told me he needed a break, and I was like, that's good timing for stuff that I have going on too. So we took that break. We came back, we're refreshed, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, all that fun stuff. So Pinball podcast is back. I will not say what kind of schedule we're recording on because I don't know.
And where can people find the Pinball podcast if they're not aware of it?
There is a website that Jeff has done. We have a Facebook page, the Pinball Podcast, on Facebook that links, he puts links to all the episodes. You can get it on iTunes or Stitcher or any of your, wherever you find fine podcasts.
Is there a sort of overall grand plan for the Pinball Podcast? Do you have any exciting guests or anything like that coming up? Or?
We're not a guest focused podcast. There are enough podcasts out there for pinball that have guests on. Like the Backbox Pinball podcast that my friend Lauren does. I was on an episode of that, and it all focuses on women in pinball. So she has a different guest every episode. She also did a really great episode on diversity in the pinball community, which is a huge issue in our community because we don't see a lot of it. No offense, I love you guys, but there's a lot of white dudes in our hobby.
Yeah, no, there absolutely is. We spoke about this with Bowen as well.
Yeah.
Which the irony wasn't lost on us.
Right, 3 white dudes talking about how there's a lot of white dudes. But that's a good thing to be self-aware in that situation, right? Because if you have a bunch of white dudes who are all the ones who are sitting around doing this, and you're not realizing, hey, we need to bring more women in, we need to bring more people of color in, we need to like figure out a way to diversify our community, then it's just same on same on same on same, which is what's been happening for a really long time. So the importance of being aware of that is not lost on the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren's really great for doing that sort of thing. You know, there were other podcasts that do a lot of guest stuff. Something that we had touched on when we were still back recording was kind of focusing on a single designer and taking a look at their like body of work, which is something I'd like to get back to doing, and giving us a little bit more structure, because there's only so much that you can say about a new release of a machine, especially right now when I haven't been out playing because we're all locked in our houses.
Yeah, I'm sure some people who are watching this video are probably very curious of what some of these machines are behind you. You are fortunate enough to have machines, so you don't have to go out and play. Do you mind maybe telling us about some of these here?
This is my Flight 2000. I finally got one. I'm real excited about it. So this I got from my friend Bob, who lives down here in Florida. He had actually heard on the podcast I was looking for one. So when I met him, he was like, oh, were you still looking for Flight 2000? Here it is. It's in the house now. And then this is our Super Purple Genesis that we're working on right now. We're working on a Millionaire for someone, which is right next to it. So that's why Genesis is open, because they are the same era, same parts. So we're pulling some to see if we can get Millionaire working. Oh, it's going to get real sketchy here. Okay, so Metallica, is in the corner. And then Monopoly is the one that's really bright that you can hardly see. This is a Silver Ball Mania that's kind of up on end because we're moving things around. We're re-theming this one. This one, Robert actually saw a free ad for. Someone had it sitting out on their porch. Like the weather had gotten to it. There were bugs. Not good. He dealt with that. I don't have to touch them. But we stripped the playfield down. You can see how it's bare wood. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do whole different art and stuff on it. I want to do Barbarella because there's the same amount of letters in Silver Ball as Barbarella. I think it's a sign. Paragon is behind that one. And then we've got a wood rail over there that we're working on. And then we have another wood rail up front that we're working on. So, yeah, I actually have games in the house now to play here, which is great. It's keeping me slightly sane. And some of the games are working.
That's good. It's nice when they work.
Yeah, it makes it much more fun than we just have to fix this again.
And you did recently make a move from Portland to Florida.
Yeah.
How do the pinball scenes compare from Portland to Florida? I mean, I know that it was a recent move and everything going on in the world. You may not be able to get out amongst the scene, but are there some...
You said you weren't going to make me cry during the interview.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
It's a little different. So the Portland metro area had over like 1,300 machines out on locations to go play. Crazy amounts of pinball everywhere. Yeah. Like you couldn't swing a bag of wheatgrass in Portland without hitting pinball machines.
What?
So,
that is a beautiful metaphor. Similar.
Thanks.
I don't know what it is. Turn of phrase.
How do you turn a phrase?
Just describes Portland just perfectly.
Yeah. So, or you couldn't swing a tear gas canister without hitting a pinball.
It is a little bit more accurate currently.
Yeah.
I have a very difficult time seeing everything that's happening there and not being able to be a part of it, and sending so much love to everyone in Portland who is out there every single night protesting for Black Lives Matter causes and protesting the death of George Floyd and so many other people who've been affected by overzealous police action. So it's tough. It's tough seeing the state of everything that's going on right now, but especially having spent the last 11 years of my life there, seeing a city that has so much compassion, like seeing the government try and beat them down and then seeing them just like, nope, we're not going anywhere, is very like inspiring in a lot of ways, but I also hurt seeing it happen over and over again. So it's a conflicting situation, but yeah, there's a lot that I miss about Portland. Obviously, the pinball scene is a huge, huge part of it, and like all the friends that I've made there. But it's, it was time in life for a change. A lot of things played into that, family stuff and relationship stuff, and just, you hit a certain point. I have gypsy blood, so I'm kind of a wanderer. So 11 years is sort of I was 11 years in Chicago, 11 years in Portland. It's just like, nope, it's time.
Have you spoken to any of like the operators or like venue owners or anything like that recently? How are they doing?
Different people are handling it in different ways, and some are not surviving, and that's heartbreaking. So, you have like one extreme would be the people who are having to close down their businesses, which is awful. You have the people who are renting out machines while their businesses are closed, which is somewhere kind of in this middle ground, which is great that they're finding ways to have income coming in and to keep their employees busy through all of this. So I know Quarter World was really the first one that I saw that in full force is like, here is our list of games. Here is how much it is. We will deliver them and set them up and take care of them for you, which is awesome.
That's really cool.
And everyone's in masks and gloves and everything being super safe to deliver all these games to people's houses. And the little Portland pinball group that we have, everyone's like posting their high scores on their rented machines and still trying to like keep the group alive, which is really nice. And then I've seen some other places start to do that too. And I'm like, it's a good model to follow. The games are just sitting there. So if you can have a beneficial situation where people can still play during this time. And it's like, okay, you get this one machine for a few months and then you switch to another one. We rented our Monopoly out to our friend Bob for a couple months during the pandemic just to have a little game change up. One of my favorite spots, Wedgehead in Portland, they don't know if they're going to be able to reopen. And that breaks my heart because that was one of my favorite places to go. The people who run it are just such great people. So they did these like artist series t-shirts that you could order like in the meantime to have a little money coming in. So I'm just like, everyone please go support them because we want to see these places reopen. So that's one thing that in the last podcast I mentioned, like if you have a local pinball spot, if you have the ability to buy a gift certificate to their bar or restaurant or whatever's associated with them, if you can buy some merch or something like that just to help them get through this time so that they are there on the other end of this, I super encourage you to do it if you have the means to.
I'm glad you brought that up because you yourself do have a merch store, Soft Plunge. I actually am wearing my Soft Plunge booty pants today.
There you are.
I love your merch. I've got the Party Humans shirt. I bought some earrings for my girlfriend. How's it going with Soft Plunge?
It's a pandemic. People don't have money. So it's weird right now, I guess. This is one of my new designs. So it's an attack from Mars, flip the script, basically. So she's got the alien instead of the alien getting her, and it glows in the dark.
Cool.
I can't show that right now because it's real bright in Florida. So I got some new merch up on the site, which we were going to debut at the Texas Pinball Festival. We were supposed to have a joint booth together, which we've done for other pinball shows. We're going to do at Brisbane Masters. So I just got the stuff printed anyway and put it online. It's slow moving online these days. And then we just launched a new site that's like a direct to print. So we don't have to put the money out to buy all this merch and then store everything and then ship it out. So as people order it, it prints per order and then they ship it out from the printer directly. And that's been interesting because it was a bunch of stuff that I didn't necessarily want to throw all this money at because I didn't know how many people would buy it. So I've been putting dresses up there, like pinball dresses and leggings and skirts and that kind of stuff. And then we have like neck gaiters. Of course, we design and get these neck gaiters up on there, and then they release all these studies saying neck gaiters are not effective masks, don't use them. So, but they're also excellent headbands or like a little sweatband situation. I don't know. You can use them for other stuff, I guess. But we put all this stuff out there, and Robert has a bunch of shirts and other things from Double Danger that are available. So we set it up so that the international shipping is more reasonable, so it doesn't cost $1 million to send stuff out to you guys if you want to get it, because that's always been important to me that you guys can get stuff, which is harder to do off of ours and easier directly from the printer. And for all of the Soft Plunge merchandise, I've been doing 20% of sales for the Soft Plunge site or any Soft Plunge items off of our joint site. I'm donating to Black Lives Matter charities until the end of the year. So if people are buying right now, it is going towards causes that are important towards, well, the world at large and integrating into our community too. So I've been trying to do my tiny part. It's not much, but you don't make money off of merch. So little bits, little tiny pieces.
Yeah, you might inspire someone else to do a similar thing, and they might inspire someone else and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's obvious enough the big things that are happening, people going to protest and that kind of stuff are really, really important. But if you don't have the capacity to do that, or aren't in a place where that sort of stuff is happening, like those little things, donating money and that kind of stuff, that really helps.
Yeah, we're trying. It's it's a different landscape here. Florida is a very different political climate than I've ever lived in. So I come from very blue states and cities, particularly. It's like New York, Chicago, Portland's all very progressive, and Florida is very different. And it's interesting, being faced with a lot more differences of opinion than you're used to seeing. A lot of us get signal boosts from our friends and our social media feeds and our communities and things like that. So it's a lot more challenging personally to have a lot of that around. But yeah, things are a lot more spread out in Florida too. So you have a lot of like stretches of things that just aren't open. And when you're talking about pinball, you know, there's a place close-ish by like maybe 20 minutes that's got about a dozen machines called Bucks. It's in a smoke shop. So it's like you buy all of your tobacco products and then here's some pinball. So it's just like a strange environment. It's not like a nighttime, you know, like go and have a couple drinks and play some games. That doesn't exist over here really. I mean, that exists right here, but it doesn't exist like close and outside of the house. So we go to a Vito, which is like close to Orlando, Florida, a bunch. There's a place called the Pinball Lounge there, which is a bowling alley that has a whole big back room of pins. Great variety, great selection. They keep them in amazing shape. So that's like my favorite place to go play. There's a place that's kind of like a Dave and Buster's-ish. I don't know if you guys have those. I don't remember seeing them there, but you know the type. It's like, you know, big redemption games and lots of like ticket. What's that?
We have blips and shits. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Wait, what? I'm so confused right now.
we're in the Rick and Morty verse.
Yes.
I don't leave the house much. We might have blips and shits. I don't know. Even before everything, I'm
really excited. We're going to the Pinball Lounge, like a little pre-birthday for me. This is our first venturing outside of the house, but they have Rick and Morty there, and I haven't played it, but my voice is in it. So I'm like, I actually get to go play it so that I could hear the thing I recorded months ago.
That's
to
awesome.
Put into this game. So I'm really excited, and I'll get to play, you know, Turtles and Hot Wheels, I think. So actually get to play some of the new games that have come out since all of this has happened, which is rad. I'm also terrified of leaving the house, so I'm really conflicted.
You know, that's pretty reasonable. I haven't actually played a new machine since like Jurassic Park came out, I think it was. And even before that, I think there were a few machines that I completely missed. Again, I don't leave the house. What's been your sort of favorite of the new ones that you've played or that you've just sort of seen?
Well, I have a Jurassic Park arriving to the house soon.
That's very exciting.
I was keeping it a surprise until I talked about it on the podcast, and then found out that he had heard the podcast. I managed to keep a secret for months that I had ordered it. So it's my first of 2 new in-box games that I got when I sold the house, because I'm an adult and make responsible choices. But I love Elwyn's games. I really do adore them. There's something so different about them that still like gives me a little bit of a feel of like early solid state time, like the little upper loops and things that he puts in there are just so nostalgic for me, but also bring something new to modern gaming. So it just creates this perfect storm of joy for me when I play them. And I decided that we should have some at the house because I can't go out and play anywhere. So Jurassic Park is my favorite of the new games that I've played for sure, like the newer ones. And I'm really excited to be able to put some time on it, like dedicated time, because the Escape Nublar challenge that he added in, where you could just walk up to the machine and just do that timed challenge, that's awesome. And I got to play it like 3 times before the pandemic hit. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm excited to do it again.
It's such a cool addition to a machine, like to be able to just play, you know, what is essentially the wizard mode sort of thing. Like that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's a whole new set of like high scores and different ways to challenge your friends instead of just going totally score based, which I always like. I like the weird, like, okay, let's race to see who could do this first, or you know, collect the most of XYZ. So I like doing the weird stuff when I'm playing games anyway. So the more of that you bring into a machine, the more happy I get when I play it.
I think we're almost out of time. We just have a little bit of time in case Vinny or Jess, you just have any last thoughts you wanted to say before we go?
I am telling everyone when Brisbane Masters is back on, you want to be there. I cannot tell you enough. It is my absolute favorite time of the year. Going to Masters, just the best humans in the world in the pinball community in Brisbane. Love you guys. You're so great. Time at Netherworld. Please send me some gnome nugs immediately. And some ginger beer, please.
Oh, I'll go to Jimmy for sure.
It's just a great time with great humans and a great city, and you're getting to play pinball together. Like, the event is run so well. Everyone is super knowledgeable and really helpful, and it's a great community to be able to walk into and be fully welcomed into, like, open arms. You guys have always been so great, and everyone I know who experiences it just has this joy around it and this excitement around it. And seeing Colin come in last year and, like, scoop up all those points, I'm sure he was really happy, but, like, his whole family had a great time being there. I cannot recommend it enough. I cannot recommend you guys enough, and Netherworld enough, and everyone involved in all of the planning for the event. Super, super grateful to you guys for bringing me into the fold and, you know, letting me do some weird stuff while I'm there too. But everyone needs to get to Masters next time it happens. 2021.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Who knows at this point, really? But that's the plan, basically. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, that was beautiful. Thank you very much, Jess. And the very last thing, we've mentioned your the Soft Plunge store, the podcast. Do you just want to take a minute to plug all your pluggables?
Are we still saying phrasing?
Now is the time. All right, my pluggables are Zoom's going to kick us off.
It is, yeah.
We're banned. The Pinball Podcast, Soft Plunge Pinball and the Pinball Podcast on Facebook, Soft Plunge Pinball on Instagram. It's also a thing I do, softplungepinball.com. And then our basement site, our direct-to-print site, is ddpinball.weebly.com.
Beautiful. I'll make sure to have the links for those in the description of this video as well as the links to where you can find PARtv on all the sites. I think we've got a Twitter. I haven't posted to Instagram yet, but we have a Facebook and, of course, the YouTube channel. And I think that's it from us. Thank you once again, Jess, for joining us tonight. It has been a real pleasure seeing you again.
Thanks, guys. I miss you all so much. It's great to see your smiling faces.
Miss you too.
Or Vinny's sad face.
We should do this again. We should just have like a hangout with like a bunch of all the good pinball people.
And drinks.
I was going to say, it's an excuse for you to either drink in the morning or for us to drink in the morning, and that's fine. There's nothing else to do right now, so.
I'll take it.
Yeah, so will I. All righty, guys. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you. See ya.